All right, well, good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, I'm joining you from my phone. So Courtney, please let me know if you have issues hearing me. I teach on Mondays, and so I am en route and not at home right now. I teach piano on the side, so not related to my work with the IPL, but an important part of what I do. So welcome. I'm delighted to have you all here this evening, and very grateful for the invitation from Courtney to join you all. As Courtney said, I've been in the role with the IPL now for about 6 months. I can't believe it's gone as quickly as it has. And before I forget, one of the things that I would love, and I could put this link in the chat afterwards, Courtney, but we are in the middle of our Bike and Hike campaign, which is our yearly advocacy push. And this year we're collecting prayers for the earth. And so if you haven't already submitted in a digital prayer, even if you're not able to ride or hike or bike with us this year, we still would love to have your prayer. I will be delivering them to the Shapiro office at the end of the month, May 31st. And so would love to have each of you on this call submit a prayer. So there are 2 ways to do that. You can print out the digital leaf template that I will send the link. And actually, if you've got today's Enviro memo, the link should be right in there. So you can go into your email inbox and find it right there. Or you can just be real easy about it and use the digital online form that will just allow you to directly submit a digital comment. And then we will print those out and send them in along with the rest. Well, I'll be walking them in physically into the office. And if any of you are adjacent to Harrisburg or would be interested in being part of that delivery at the end of the month, I am accepting visitors to come with me as well. So you'd be more than welcome to join me if having a public voice and a public face in this work is important to you. So I'm saying that right from the top so that I don't forget. The reason that Courtney invited me here tonight was to talk a little bit about some of the plans to restructure PAIPL, particularly our chapters. The mainline chapter is one of our most vibrant chapters. You all meet every single month, and it's been quite a lot of fun for me since I got started to pop in. I've been on a lot of these calls, I think, at this point, but haven't been around maybe the past month or two. And so y'all are a really dedicated group of people. But we have some struggles with our chapters, because some of our chapters have it's a little harder for them to find momentum, a little harder for us to identify leadership. And so over the past 6 months, I have been, sorry, is the echo coming from me, Courtney? You're muted.
Is there music in the background?
There might be, yeah. I was hoping that my canceling earbuds would help with that. Give me just a second. I'm going to relocate outside and see if that helps with the echo.
Okay.
I'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks, Joel. I thought we were all going to get up and dance. That's kind of how it sounded.
All right, let's try this again. How's that?
Better. That's great.
Better?
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Thanks.
Sorry about that, everyone. Thank you for your patience with me. Would it help? Were you able to catch what I was saying, or should I start?
No, I think we heard. Does anybody need her to go back over? I think we could hear. It was just distracting hearing the bass or whatever we were listening to.
Yeah, I think they turned up the music because I have noise canceling earphones on, so I can't hear it.
Oh.
But when I moved outside, I said, wow, the music got loud in here. So I think they're having a dance party in the Starbucks.
Okay.
All right. So I've been spending a lot of the last 6 months thinking about how we offer programs, how we organize ourselves and our structure, and also how we make sure that everybody who wants to participate in our programming gets a chance to, because what often happens is you on the main line will offer an incredible program that I think would be incredibly beneficial to our wider community. And so in thinking all of those things through, and we're not at, I think the conversation is still happening in terms of what the complete reorganization of our chapters and structure would look like. But also in having conversation with Courtney and Chuck and recognizing some of the limits on their time as well, along with our other very active chapter, which is in the Pittsburgh area. The model that we're thinking about moving towards come the fall is a model that is based more in centralized programming that would be offered virtually. So like we're having here tonight. But we would invite folks from all across the state to join into those educational pieces of the programming. And then either at the beginning or the end of that programming, we would offer breakout rooms that would be by region. So if you were on the main line, you would have a main line breakout room. If you are in Pittsburgh, you would have a breakout room. If you are in an area that has an established kind of presence, you would have a breakout room. If not, you would join into like a catch-all breakout room where you would have an opportunity to build relationships with people in your own community or area with the idea of continuing to build up this regional model. So I want to emphasize that this work that we do is incredibly relational, is incredibly regional, and in no way is that aspect of this work changing. But the way that we're going to offer that space is shifting. And so come the fall, we're going to try this new model where we'll have these regional breakouts. The educational programming that the breakouts will happen on is still an ongoing conversation. At this point, we offer a couple of regular programs. We offer our First Fridays noon environmental education program. We also offer the quarterly spiritual care program. And then in partnership with Jewish Earth Alliance, we have the monthly advocacy call. And then we also have the monthly policy call. So we have a couple of options in terms of when and where we would plug in this regional breakout idea. And so one of the questions that I wanted to bring to you all tonight was how this whole idea is sounding to you, because I would really love to get your feedback. Like I said, nothing is set in stone yet. We're just thinking about ways to meet the needs of our wider community while also recognizing the limited capacity of our part-time team at this time. While also building a program that is helpful and works for you. I know that you all have built an incredible community here on the main line. And so I would love to hear from you. If Courtney, if we just have a moment, I don't want to take away from Pam's presentation time. If not, we don't have time for the conversation now. I'd be happy to hear from people via email with their thoughts.
So if anybody has something they want to say just right off the top of their head, I'd love to dive into Pam's program. And I mean, I think that this is a great idea and gives us a greater breadth of things to draw on, even for program ideas. So, and while still keeping the intimacy of our mainline PA IPL, both of which I think are important. So, anybody else?
Thank you, Courtney.
And I'm assuming anybody can sort of weigh in on program ideas too, right? You would be happy with that, right? Okay.
Yes, part of the idea is to build to kind of hear, and hopefully later in the summer we'll have a survey of our membership for some program and other structure ideas as well. So y'all are some of the first to hear the news.
Okay, Bill has a very important comment. Bill.
I'm not sure how important it is, but I like the suggestion that Katie has made. I know when I was trying to keep a regular Philadelphia chapter meeting going on a regular basis, it was a challenge to find interesting speakers and programming that people would be interested in. And when we did find something that was useful, it was often a topic that was of interest wider than just Philadelphia. And so, you know, I often was reaching out to David or to, you know, the other executive directors we've had and saying, can't we advertise this statewide? Because I think it's a topic that would be of interest to other people. So that idea of having programming that is applicable more broadly appeals to me a lot. And then the breakouts are a way to focus in on local issues that we all care about in our own immediate region.
Thank you,
Brilliant.
Bill.
Yeah, thanks. All right. Katie, thanks for joining us. Pam, I would love to get going with your program.
Sounds good.
So do you want me to start the PowerPoint?
Yes. So I prepared a PowerPoint, and I've got an old computer, guys. So I've asked Courtney. I'll have to say, Courtney, turn the page. but I've got a PowerPoint. So if you could get that started, that'd be great, Courtney.
Okay. Oh, and do you have a video that I'm going to share too?
I sent you that, and you'll need to click through to that video. Yes. There's 2 short videos, that's what I was saying, and you need to click through to reach those videos. Okay, and if you could click to the PowerPoint itself. Yes, sure. Oh, you didn't download it out of the, well, that's okay. Okay, great, thank you. So thanks everybody for coming out. I'm excited to talk a little bit about Plastic Free July. Some of you folks I see I've been talking to on other Zooms or on the phone, so thank you for coming today. And Courtney, if you would change the slide. All right, so when I'm told to do a presentation, I've always been told you're going to tell people what you're going to talk about. You're going to talk about it, and then you're going to tell them you talked about it. So that's what I'm doing here. This presentation is going to be like 25 minutes long, so you can kind of relax about that. I'll be starting by talking about what Plastic Free July is, what it is, and why it matters. And then tying in, this is PAIPL, it's faith-based, and we really have an issue in the world today. We all are living in a time of extreme climate crisis. How do we act in the world today? And I think you'll see how that relates to Plastic Free July. And finally, I'll talk a little bit about building a regional effort and some thoughts, and I'll want to open it up for an invitation to you to tell me what you're thinking. Okay, turn the page there. All right, so we're going to start with why Plastic Free July, and it is single-use plastics that we're talking about. So I'm going to start by meeting the problem, and I know all of you folks are here, you care, you probably know a lot, but I think it's really important to remember, because the problem is so big that it sometimes puts us all in sort of shock mode. So Courtney, turn the page. So these are a few facts. I gave a few of them in the introduction to the program. Just this year, we are going to see about 380 million metric tons of plastic. This is about the weight of all humanity living today, will be created from liquid fossil fuels and thousands of chemical additives. So we're talking about climate change issues and health issues, many of them known carcinogens. And this plastic is going to enjoy not all of it, but a great deal of it, a single quick use before it heads off to a landfill. Or it heads off in the ocean, we've seen that, or it heads off in an incinerator. In 2021, I think these kinds of numbers sort of help us kind of catch on to this. 5 trillion, I don't even know how to put that number together, plastic bags were used. About 160,000 plastic bags every second. Each year, enough bubble wrap, this is a great visual, is created globally to cover the distance from the Earth to the moon. And then I'm always interested in, well, how much plastic have we had? And this figure came in from the New York Times. Most of the more than 8.3 billion metric tons of plastic made on Earth isn't in use any longer. About 6.3 billion metric tons of plastic have been thrown away since 1950. It's interesting to know that they weren't using plastic in 1945. It's hard to imagine, right? About 12% of that has been incinerated. Okay, that's going to create pollution and health issues. 9% has been recycled, 9%, which only delays the final disposal, and 60%, almost 5 billion metric tons, is in landfills or scattered in the environment. There's lots of information online. earthday.org is a great source of information. Courtney, turn the page.
Pam, am I going to be able to share this with folks so that they can
Sure.
have this information? Okay, great, thanks.
So I gave you some verbal, but we all know the visuals. Not one of us hasn't walked somewhere and gone, oh my God, look at the plastic. And probably a lot of us have stooped down and tried to pick up some. Courtney, next page. Microplastics is something we're hearing a lot about. It's in our bodies. There isn't a human being without it. Our rivers, there isn't a river without it. It's just plastic fragments, and of course, birds, animals. Turn the page. Here's an egret looking for a pile of for food among waste. It's kind of heartbreaking, but we see these images. Turn the page. This is a picture of, I think we know that a lot of this plastic waste is going into third world countries. The people who aren't creating it don't have the resources to buy all this plastic, and yet they're living among it. We are shipping so much. I don't know if we still are, but I know we've been shipping to Indonesia and other third world countries who are just overwhelmed with this plastic. Courtney, could you turn the page? Unless you think that this plastic is only in third world countries. That's a picture of my husband, Andy Back, who's here on the program with us. And we went over to do the annual plastic and trash cleanup right at our own John Hines National Wildlife Refuge in Philadelphia. It was just shocking, the amount of refuse that actually washes down into John Hines. This is our wildlife refuge. It's where we have fresh water, and from the watershed, rivers and creeks and tributaries, so much plastic, so much other garbage, but largely these single-use plastics that we were cleaning up, hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. And of course, where's most of it? Probably going to landfills. A little better than being at the wildlife refuge, but certainly not ideal. Turn the page. I just put this up, you know, people are making money on plastic. So this is Getty Images. And if you want a really good high res, they have 38,073 plastic pollution premium high res photos that you can buy. You could probably go out and take a few of your own, but I thought that was kind of interesting, funny in a not too funny way. Courtney, turn the page, please. Polluted by single-use plastic. And that's the big problem. Courtney, turn the page. So what is Plastic Free July? And I would say it's not going to solve everything at all, but it's a step. It's a step in a better direction. Courtney, turn the page. So Plastic Free July, now run by a nonprofit foundation, was started in 2011 by a small team in Western Australia, led by a woman I'd never heard of until I did this research, Rebecca Prince Ruiz, who then went on and founded the nonprofit Plastic Free Foundation. Today, this little idea of hers and her group is one of the most influential environmental campaigns in the world. Last year, more than 140 million known participants. That means people who signed up onto their website and said that they were going to participate in Plastic Free July. Courtney, can you turn the page? So I think it's really important in this crazy world of ours that when we decide to do something, we're very careful about who's promoting it and why, because I think there's a lot of greenwashing going on by companies. And, you know, we want to know who's doing it, how they're doing it. And I liked the core values of this campaign: honesty and integrity, inclusivity of people, ideas, visions, and approaches, a focus on providing solutions, which we desperately need, authenticity and collaboration, and that's really what this is about, and the belief, what we all got to hope, that small changes can add up to a big difference. Courtney, can you turn the page? Thank you. So this is, I just did a screenshot of the website. It's Plastic Free July. I'm here to tell you right now, this is not rocket science. It is looking at 1 month, asking people to sign on, take the challenge that you will, to the best of your ability. Nobody can do this perfectly. Use less single-use plastics. Courtney, and this website, it has all kinds of information about how you can hear what other people have done, how you can share information with others. It's a terrific website. Courtney, you want to turn the page, and I've got a link on that next page to actually look at the home page. Hopefully this will work. Okay, great. So on this page, what I thought would be fun, there's a 1-minute video right here, Courtney. If you can play it, that would be awesome. And they have some really cute ones.
So what's Plastic Free July? It's about learning to make small changes, just choosing to refuse the single-use plastics we use every day. Plastic Free July, it's a personal challenge that's part of a global effort.
For the ocean.
For cleaner streets.
For the planet.
Choose one single-use plastic to avoid, and you'll soon discover another plastic and another great solution. By making one small change, you can make a real difference, and there's so many other changes you can try. Buy unpackaged products.
I'm learning how to bake.
Or start taking reusable bags when you shop.
The kids love going to our local farmers market.
Do Plastic Free July at home.
Or at school.
I'm doing it at work.
I got my local cafe involved.
And a whole community joined in. Plastic Free July invites you to choose to refuse one single-use plastic, and with the help of hundreds of millions of other participants around the world, you can make a difference. The change you try, that's your Plastic Free July choice.
Great. And of course, it's fun to watch just to hear the Australian accent. I'm sure you'll all agree. Courtney, could you turn the page? Okay, so now I'm moving into part 2 of the program. As I said, there's nothing rocket science about Plastic Free July. It's an agreement by yourself and possibly by a group that you work with, and reaching out to others to refuse single-use plastics. Now I want to talk a little bit more about how we as people of faith, people of conscience, work and reach out in a world where the climate change is very, very real. We're seeing it. What do we do? So I call this part Plastic Free July, or the world is on fire and you want me to do what? So I don't know about the rest of you, but I've had a lot of responses from people when I bring up the topic of climate change. The first one, thank God, is more from the politicians in the world than from my friends, and that's outright denial. I think it's getting harder and harder for people to deny what's going on. But fear, frustration, and apathy, I think people kind of go through the stages of grief as we learn more and more about what's going on in the environment. And I'll bet you all have some stories to tell me, but you know, really good friends of mine say, well, there's really nothing I can do. Or and this is my least favorite, can't you talk about something else? So we know that climate change is happening, right? We see the negative impacts of human actions on the environment all around us. And it's really hard to keep positive. So how do we avoid this trap of apathy exactly at the time when we all need to be doing everything that we can? Courtney, would you turn the page? So these are a couple of my quotes to live by, and I'm assuming a lot of you got some quotes, but I'll read you mine, and maybe I'll hear yours later. So Edward Everett Hale is actually, I just double checked, he's a Unitarian minister from the 19th century. And he said, and I quote, "I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do." And the other quote that I chose, I think really works well when I think of the woman who started Plastic Free July. So this is Margaret Mead, the anthropologist. "Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed people to change the world. In fact, it is the only thing that ever has." So those are some quotes I use to keep myself going. You want to turn the page there, Courtney? I also look to people who inspire and, interestingly enough, build community, because what is inspiration but bringing more people together to tackle a problem? So can anybody tell me who that young girl is? Can anybody not tell me? Is everybody all muted?
It's Greta Thunberg.
Right, and she's just done an amazing thing with youth and with all of us. I think we all look up to her. And that is a very, very young Al Gore. And I just dug out an inconvenient truth, if you can see my little picture over there, which he wrote in 2006, and unfortunately, an even more inconvenient truth, which he wrote a few years ago. And he has just been banging on the pots and pans for years, and trying to make change where he can. And Courtney, you tell me who that person on the right is.
That's my buddy, Doug Ptolemy.
That's a younger Doug Ptolemy, who is also my hero. And he has decided that we have to bring biodiversity back. And again, he's a community builder. And Courtney mentioned in the meeting before we started, his home, if you haven't looked, you got to check out his website, Homegrown National Park. If everybody can start adding some native plants to their yards, we can create more of the world that the plants and animals of our area need. So that's exciting. Courtney, you want to turn the page? So I personally also have found local groups who share my values and support my efforts to be incredibly helpful as I think about climate change. Williston Conservation Trust is actually where I learned about Plastic Free July. They're doing all kinds of wonderful things and supporting communities to do more. Darby Creek Valley Association, they're the ones who are cleaning up the rivers. And you can sign up. At my church, we've done a number of cleanups with Darby Creek Valley Association. And these organizations do a lot of education, so that I've realized as I've taken some of their education, how little I knew about the natural world, and how exciting that is to learn, and how learning more like that makes you even more committed to saving the environment. Penn Environment, Penn Future, these are awesome organizations who bring us together to sign and get things in front of legislators and corporations. And then EACs, I have a special place in my heart for environmental advisory councils. These are people working in townships like my own, which is Haverford Township. And if you know somebody who works for an EAC, it sounded like Phyllis does, give them a hug. They work so hard. on our behalves, and they're not paid, and they are making the small change locally that is making a difference. Certainly PA Interfaith Power and Light, another organization that is committed, that keeps our spirits up as we try to do things. And then my faith group is awesome. On the I saw Ruth is here today, the organizer of our environmental justice team. Courtney, you want to turn the page? I also am inspired by small businesses that are doing a lot to change our habits. And I've gone to both of these stores. Mark them down if you haven't been. The first one is the Community Eco Store. That's in Phoenixville. I've met their wonderful husband and wife team that run this, and you can buy all kinds of things to help you be more sustainable, use less plastic. And these are two kick-ass women from Shift, which is a pretty new store and community. I would call it a community center as well, that is doing stuff to help people figure out ways to be more sustainable. Courtney, you want to turn the page?
Pam, can you tell us where Shift is?
Oh, certainly. Shift is in Narberth, Pennsylvania. And they have an awesome website that you can go on to and learn a ton again, but just wonderful. I'll be talking a little bit more about it actually when we on the next. So I'm still talking about people who inspire. And I have to say Courtney and Chuck, who are on this meeting, and a number of people I see there. So Courtney and Chuck really have built and run a green group for years before transitioning it to the PA IPL mainline chapter. And many people, have tried to connect and have connected to reach further than just the one person. One of my friends who was going to come and be here tonight, but she's doing some kick-ass work tonight for her EAC, is Tracy Viola. She's a working mother of 2 girls, another member of my amazing church, and she still found time recently to lead her Tredyffrin Township EAC to get the township to ban plastic bags and styrofoam. She gave me a short video as she couldn't join us. So 4 minutes of Tracy, if we can get her running here. Okay, it's a little small, but it's worth it.
Hi there, my name is Tracy Viola, and I'm a member of the Environmental Advisory Council of Tredyffrin Township. I was a person brought in at the beginning of working towards our plastic ordinance, our single-use plastic ordinance, and I was the one to close the deal. So it took us about 2.5 years. Now there was this pesky little thing called COVID in there, so that held us up by a period of time, but it did take some convincing and a lot of interviews and data. But I'm really proud to say that Tredyffrin passed an ordinance that includes the banning of single-use plastic bags, straws, and styrofoam in our township. I'm very excited to see other townships in Pennsylvania and across the country work towards banning plastic. I don't need to convince you. We're all here for the same reason. Plastic is not good. Listen, it has its benefits for certain products and things that we do need. I agree that I do want my raw chicken to probably be wrapped in plastic or something so I don't get salmonella. However, there are so many pieces of single-use plastic that we go through in an average day that will outlive me. I think about how I'll be dust, right? Literally. And that plastic Solo cup will be sitting in some landfill somewhere outliving me. And that's disgusting. Or even worse, what's happening is that plastic Solo cup is breaking down in the landfill and seeping to become leachate, sucking into our waterways. And then I'm drinking it, right? We're all taking in within about, I think it's a credit card's weight of plastic every week. So like, think about that, a credit card weight of plastic every week that we're ingesting. And we're surprised about all these, this colon cancer in people that are in their 20s and early 30s. I mean, we're quite literally poisoning ourselves with both our foods and the plastic that we're ingesting. So for me, supporting Plastic Free July, supporting Plastic Free August and September and October and November and so on is so important. Not going to be perfect. I can't be, right? I have a society that is, and a structure that's working against me, but I can make better choices. And really, at the end of the day, that's what this is about in every walk of our life, right? One of my favorite quotes is "Little by little becomes a lot," and I just try to look at that every day. I do a little by little, and I try to educate the people around me to do little by little. My other favorite quote is from Maya Angelou, which is, "When you know better, you do better." And we know better. We know that plastic is not the answer. Single-use plastics are not the answer. We know what we need to do, and we need to do it. And we need to work together, power in numbers. We need to use our voice. We need to talk against government. We need to talk against some of these corporations, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Nestle, Procter & Gamble, that are poisoning our earth with plastic, cutting down our trees. It's tragic and it's terrifying for me personally. And I'm here to make a change. So I'm showing up. Thank you to Pam. Thank you to MLUC. And I'm in. I hope to see you guys working towards progress, not perfection, in Plastic Free July. So thanks for your help. Bye. Hi there.
You can take us to the next slide. Thank you. You can see why Tracy inspires me. Hopefully she inspires you as well. So I'm going to transition into the final part of my program, which is talking about building a regional effort for Plastic Free July. So Plastic Free July, as I said, is not new. It's out there. 140 million people around the world did it last year. How can we make it stronger and household word in the Delaware Valley and beyond? So why do we want to do this? Well, these are some reasons that I think are important. For each of us that does it, more plastics kept out of the environment. With every single person who takes the pledge, more habits can be shifted or changed for the long run. As Tracy said, she doesn't want just a plastic-free July. We need a plastic-free mentality. More people asking for real change from businesses and government means more pressure applied for real change. So at my church, we actually are asking people who sign our pledge to pick one company, and doesn't have to be long, and write a quick note or go talk to the manager, whatever you're comfortable doing, and say, hey, I want to see more change. I don't want to come to your store and see all this plastic, whatever it is, or talking to the government, whatever, but one action. So the bigger question I have is, can we build an action-oriented more long-term coalition? Can we come together? One person doing it is great. Can we come together? Can we join forces to tell people that, hey, we've done this. We've been willing to do this. We're ready to shift out of a single-use plastic culture. Courtney, you want to turn that page? So I'm just going to tell folks the way that I'm doing this, that our group is doing this at the Mainline Unitarian Church on the group level. And this is more, I think every group is distinct. You all have your cultures and what works for you. So at MLUC, we have put up on our front page a link to a pledge form for anyone to sign and take our plastic-free challenge. Remember, you can do the plastic and should do the plastic-free challenge on the international site, but we wanted to keep it local, and we recognize that our members will have more fun, be more engaged if they pledge and work as a group. Our church is really active, oriented, and social, so this gives us a chance to have some fun. I've already started on Sundays. I think Jan, who's here, and Ruth and my husband Andy helped out this Sunday, and will continue through June to talk it up after services at church, because we have an atrium, and we have a system with people putting out big signs in the atrium and chatting it up and nudging people, and that works at our church. Engagement. I'm working on setting up an online forum that will invite everyone to share successes and frustrations, and people will have them. In fact, just chatting with people on Sunday, I got 2 good ideas and some great questions. Well, how the hell am I going to do this? So that's a great place to let everybody share. Fun. I think this has to be fun. People need to feel like, wow, this is a challenge I can do. So we're offering a field trip. I mentioned the store Shift in Narberth, and I've set up a field trip so we can go have lunch nearby at a restaurant that Shift assures me is sustainably focused, and then cross the street over to Shift and learn what they're up to just prior to July. So maybe buy a few things that will keep us from dipping into the single-use plastics quite so much. So my husband is helping out. We know we're still going to have some single-use plastics, and somebody from Pachamama or the Green Alliance, I think they're on today's call, gave me this amazing idea of Trex. They do it. And sure enough, we're getting a giant collection box from Trex, which is a plastic bench making company, and they make all kinds of things from recycled plastic. So if you mess up and you still got to buy some plastic, so you have some single-use plastic in July, and in fact through December, we're going to have a box for 6 months. If we can collect 500 pounds, it's probably going to be easy. We can get a handsome plastic park bench that we can either keep or donate. And my husband can talk more about that after the presentation if anybody's interested. And finally, we hope to celebrate. So far, I think I'm up to 28 people that I've badgered into signing up for Plastic-Free July at our church, and that's just the beginning. So hopefully we'll have a good crowd, and we'll be able to celebrate. And again, celebration, coming together, we inspire one another. All right, okay, so that's it. Oh, wait a minute, regional level, excuse me. So we've already got some groups, as I've been chatting around, who want to promote for Plastic-Free July in their faith and environmental communities with us. So my church, Mainline, Friends at Providence, I think they're here tonight, Central Baptist Church of Wayne, St. David's Episcopal Church, which is next door to my church. That's very exciting to have a relationship with them on this. The Tree of Life Church in Springfield, yay, Courtney. Pachamama Alliance and Green Faith Circle, and they've got it. They've been doing this for years and doing amazing programs. They might talk about that when I'm finished. So for every group who shares their leader contact information with me, and that's my email address, I will be sending out a weekly email to the leaders, maybe getting some ideas from them as well. But then if they choose to, they can share within their groups. This will be encouragement and tips, letting people know how many people have signed up for this effort. Because again, I believe that we do well. We're social animals. We do well when we know that we got a tribe and we're on the go and we're doing something meaningful. So hopefully we're going to have an open online forum to share ideas and successes. I'll know in about a week whether I'm able to get that up. I've got a friend at MLUC who's a little bit more computer techy than me, so we're working on that. And maybe this regional group would want a plastic-free an August plastic-free party. And who knows what else the group could do if we grow it. Courtney, there we go. So that was it. That was I think I did it within 25 minutes. Hope I did. Anyhow, it's time for your quotes, ideas, engagement. Thank you for listening. And I do hope that you will sign up for Plastic Free July. All right.
Em, you're amazing. We have some time for questions. I think this is such an exciting idea. And part of the beauty of it is there's not a whole lot you have to do other than promote it with all this material that Pam's already put together. So it makes it so easy. This is a gimme. Bill, you have a question?
Yeah, Pam, this was great. I really appreciate the presentation. And I think I'm going to talk to Bert Dallas afterwards. We're both involved with Quaker Eco-Justice Collaborative, and we have a newsletter that goes out to Quaker meetings in the region. And I think we can certainly promote this among the Friends meetings in the area. So that's great.
Awesome. That would be awesome. And if anybody wants to, I'm not trying to bludgeon everybody into the, but I love to see people come together and know that we're coming together. So if you have a group that's involved and you want to give me a leader's name, we can connect loosely in that way.
Great. I did have a quick question. The Narberth group that you mentioned, Shift, I think you called it. Do they sell stuff in bulk? What is their business?
Right. Okay. So yeah, I didn't yak too much about it. So I went over and with a friend, and they gave me an free hour-long tour of the whole place about every piece. So they do a couple of things. One is exactly in bulk. So you can bring glass bottles and they'll fill up shampoo and a lot of beauty kinds of products, but other cleaning products, etc. But they also had a whole range of products that I had not thought of before. I myself picked up a scrubber sponge, which was more expensive than the plastic ones I use every 2 weeks and throw out because they're, they get full of bacteria, etc. She assured me, one, doesn't get full of bacteria because it's not plastic, so you don't have to put it in the microwave every two minutes, and second, it would last longer, and I'm still using it after several months. So that's the kind of thing. So they've got a lot of interesting things that are probably longer lasting, and not just single-use plastic, but things like toothbrushes that are made not of plastic, that kind of thing as well. So I mean, we all know that we can go, right? We can go as deep as we want to with this. We can it's kind of how, and we all have different budgets, and that's why I'm trying to promote this as anything you can do is going to be awesome. Any shift in your, in my way of doing things that helps the environment is going to be awesome.
Great, thank you. I'll mention too that Weaver's Way Co-op, which has branches in my neighborhood, Mount Airy in Philly, also Chestnut Hill, and also in Ambler, not mainline, but at least it's suburban. They do a lot of selling of foodstuffs in bulk, where just as you described with Shift, you bring your own container, you weigh it before you put the food in, so you're not paying for the cost of your container, and you just get charged for, the sugar or flour or wheat or, whatever it is you're buying.
Do you have to be a member? I, years and years ago, went to Weaver's Way.
You do not need to be a member to buy stuff there.
Interesting. That's great news. So that's going on my blog or my forum, should it go up.
Great.
Just the kind of information I think people will want. Thank you.
This is Bert. I just want to say thank you, Bill. I look forward to talking to you about that. And thank you, Pam, for a great presentation. I want to say about Weaver's Way that in addition to selling a lot of bulk items, that on the first weekend of the month, there's a 5% reduction if you bring a recyclable container. So you don't have to fill plastic bags or use a plastic container. So it's about reusing, and that is really good. It's terrifying to me that we are ingesting that much plastic, and it's circulating through our bodies and has had a real bad influence on our health. And I was wondering, for plastic bottles, do they deteriorate? If you use a plastic water bottle a second time, or is it cracking up and you're putting more plastic into your system?
So
no?
If anybody's an expert, you jump in. I'm not an expert. Actually, I think we might have somebody who really is here. I saw green. Anyhow, my understanding is that what is it? The PCBs, somebody help me here, but that you should not reuse a plastic water bottle, and so that's not really a good solution if you're worried about your health. You really want to shift to a metal can or something to drink. Yeah, does anybody else have more information on that? Yeah, but
No, but I have also heard that they release bad chemicals into the water when they're exposed to heat. And when you think about it, they are delivered in big trucks over time, all these water bottles that are exposed to heat. So even though you might be pulling it out of the refrigerator at some point in this transportation, it may have been likely had extensive heat put onto it.
yes. Yeah, I think you're right, Bert. I know as I said, I've read about, don't drink from it because it's not good for your health. And yet, look, that's what I mean. This is a culture, and it blows my mind to think that in 1950, people weren't drinking out of water bottles. And now people act like that was the whole of humanity. We can't live without water bottles. It's interesting.
June, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for inviting us. We just got the email, Pam, and we have met online a few times. And Marty and I, who's here too, Marty is also here. We're both Pachamama Alliance and the Green Faith Circle. We're part of Green Faith International, which is an alliance of faith communities all over the world who are acting on our values that all faith communities have: care for each other and care for the earth. So we just had a meeting yesterday. I just wanted to let you know. We have meetings monthly, and we had a team in our Green Faith Circle that is working on plastic and replacing single-use plastic, particularly with other kinds of products. It was a wonderful presentation, and we did talk about the Plastic-Free July. So we're going to be pursuing that in our circle and bringing it to our faith communities as well. And we'd love to use some of your material. This presentation was great, but I just wanted to say about the single-use plastic water bottles. There's less, just in terms of the basic water, there's less regulation for water that's put into those bottles than there is for your tap water. A lot more regulation. And I mean, we hear the awful things about, different components that are getting into our tap water, but overall, it's much more highly regulated. Yes, the plastic in those plastic water bottles is outgassed into the water. So if you leave a bottle with water in it and you, in the car, for instance, and then you take a drink, it has that kind of funny taste. Well, that's all the chemicals that are breaking down, getting into the water. And you know that wonderful smell when you get a new car, that new car smell, that's really outgassing of all the plastic that's in that car. So we're just accustomed to liking this somehow. It's very weird. But I did want to add just one other thing, and I don't have a electronic copy of this, but the microplastics and lots of things that come out of the products we use go into our water system. And that's how it's getting into our bodies. We're just full of this stuff. They found it in microplastics in our germ cells, you know, sperm and the eggs. So we're like born with it now. It's so weird. But we have, they had a list of products. And if Marty can get an electronic copy of this, we can send it to you. And there's so many things like hand soap and body soap. There are products that you can get all of this stuff online. You get a starter kit with a bottle, a glass bottle, and a tablet. You put that tablet in the water, and you've got hand soap. You've got body lotion. You've got all kinds of amazing things. One of the things that I didn't know about is something called a guppy friend. So whenever you buy clothes that have, you know, recycled plastic or nylon or any kind of plastic components, which almost all our clothes do now, and you wash those, microfibers come out and go into our, it can't be filtered out in most washing machines, and it goes into our water systems. So there's this thing called guppy friend. So if you have like a, you know, microfiber towels or something like that, or really, I mean, polyester shirts, you can just put these in this thing called a guppy friend and throw it in the washing machine, and it filters out all the little microplastic pieces. And then after you wash it, things a couple of times, you turn the bag inside out, and all of these fibers are collected in the bag, and you just pull them out, and then you can discard them in the trash. So there's just 100 different products. Toothpaste, not even toothpaste. It's little tablets that are mint, and they pop them in your mouth and they foam up just like toothpaste. It's really amazing what's available. So anyway, that's me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely send that along. Who's got it? Marty's got like a list of this. Is that what you're saying?
I hope so. You're there, Marty?
Marty? Oh, he's walked off. Okay.
I am here, and I'll see if we can get an electronic copy. I did pick up a paper copy that was handed out at our event yesterday, but our conversation, Pam, from a few weeks ago stimulated our incorporating that information into our program yesterday. And today we had our Pachamama listening circle, and we brought it up again. So we're spreading the word. And I think, and tomorrow night I'm going to be on the Tri-County Alliance, Sustainability Alliance call about food waste and recycling, and I'll definitely present it there as well. So if you could share your slides with us between now and then, that would be great, because I would be glad to put a few of those slides up during our meeting.
Sure. And if what you're going to send me, I can send to everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah, because those sound great, June. Thank you. Thank you.
I do want to honor our time. I think we have time for one more question. I just had a quick question about the collection of plastics for the bench through Trex. Does it have to be a particular number?
Andy?
Hi, I'm Andrews. Pam mentioned earlier about the Trex, and basically they're a company, I think they're in Winchester, Virginia, if memory serves, and they make a lot of outdoor products like decks and benches and railings and things like that from recycled plastic, and they've been doing it for quite a few years. And they periodically will do these challenges where schools and civic community groups and so forth can collect plastic film specifically, and turn it over to them. And for example, if you collect 6 months worth, which comes to about on average could be about 40,000 pounds of plastic film. They will turn that into a bench of your choosing, which you can use for whatever purpose. Again, I emphasize that they collect only plastic film, which means they don't take plastic containers or clamshells or anything of that type, but they are interested in things like plastic bags and different types of plastic wrap that might be used for food that once it's properly cleaned, that sort of thing. But they don't take large pieces of plastic or the kind of plastic containers that's not what they use for their work. But if you go, I think it's Trex.com, I believe, TREX, they have a big site with a lot of information about their products, what they sell, but they also have a section about recycling. So they provide the box, they turn it, you collect the film, turn it over to a local company that Trex has sponsored with, usually a grocery store or something like that. And they do the actual recycling piece of it. So it's a great thing. We're going to be putting a box at MLUC, and we're going to try to get at least 2 other boxes that we can put at 2 other locations. So it's a worthwhile thing, and Trex obviously gets free publicity out of it. So it's good for them as well. So that's basically what it's all about.
Thank you. Does anybody have one final question?
I just,
I see Joel and Arthur, so we'll take 2 more quick questions.
Yeah, I've noticed with my plastic, I have one of those big yellow containers, and they pick it up every 2 weeks. And I've noticed that I've had to like a container and a half. It seems to me that the plastic's going up, not down. Has anybody else had a similar feeling that we're using more and more plastic instead of less and less? And then the other problem I have is I just looked up, I remember reading a few weeks ago in the Google news that there's even smaller plastic particles than microplastics, and they did experiments and they found out they're disrupting the development of embryos, and I just looked it up on the NIH website. It's exposure to microplastics during early development stage review of current evidence. That's 2022. It has a huge number of carcinogenic, developmental problems, spermatogenesis. I mean, so this is really scary that, someone's making a lot of money off the plastic and not having to pay for the, externalities of fixing the problem. That should be fixed. I mean, someone should have to be not earning a profit on doing this to us. So if anybody has any solutions, let me know.
Thanks so much, Joel. What did somebody?
Yeah.
Arthur, please.
Regarding Trex, Acme Markets sends its plastic bag and film to Trex, and they have recycling for that material at all Acme Markets. That includes such, I believe it's number 4 plastics. I've given them very large, basically a plastic bag for a mattress. That was what they the plastic that they take. You can if you can basically stretch it out by pushing your thumb through it, then they say that's a requirement for them to take it. So I recycle such things as plastic wrap, saran wrap, that's one way to at least recycle it. And regarding trying to stay away from plastic because of its toxic effects, we recently bought a large number of glass containers that we can then store food in the refrigerator, instead of having to use plastic containers that typically you get food in the supermarket in plastic containers.
Great. Arthur, thank you. Pam, thank you. This was such a wonderful way to end our time together. I'm so grateful. I'm going to work to get all of this information out tonight, including information in the chat. If you got an email from me, not from PAIPL, you'll get this. If you want to be added to the mainline PAIPL list, put your email in the chat, please. So I'm going to close this up. Pam, is there anything you want to say before you go?
Only, again, my email is if you have it in there, email me if you've got a group that wants to join us. Email me if you just want to do it yourself. We can get you signing up at the MOUC site, because otherwise you won't be connecting. So if you want to stay kind of connected, because I really believe that this is about community. This is one thing we can't do alone. We've got to do it together. So that's my last pitch.
Right, and I think at the end we should try to publicize it just for greater community awareness. So as you do it in groups locally, get the word out to local newspapers with at least an explanation of what and why, because there's just so many people who don't even have a clue that this is a problem. And I kind of learned that last week. I tried to talk to people about taking this pledge and signing up. So that's my comment about it.
Thanks.
Thank you all. Blessings on your evening. Keep doing this good work. It's really important. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Chuck and Pam,
Good
you're the
night.
best. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, June.
Bye. I'll be the chat here.